Okay, did you bring your passport? Did you pack your sunscreen and your underwear? Because we are about to hop on a plane. We are going to Costa Rica, baby. I think this video is going to be helpful for anyone traveling to Costa Rica for the first time or considering traveling to Costa Rica. I have visited Costa Rica 2 times and I'm returning this winter. I'm going to be sharing where I've stayed, where I've eaten, what activities I've done, and basically all of my travel tips for Costa Rica. So first and foremost, Costa Rica is a country in Central America. So right around here is the Panama Canal, and Costa Rica is just above that. It borders the Pacific Ocean on the west and the Caribbean Sea on the east. Costa Rica may appear small on a world map, but it is way too big of a country to be able to visit the whole thing in 1 week. Even 2 weeks is just not enough time to see everything. Both times that I visited have been for 1 week each time, and I have traveled around the western half of the country. Costa Rica has 2 international airports, one in its capital city, San Jose, and the other on the western side in Liberia. I was the most interested in visiting beautiful beaches, and Tamarindo is a town in Costa Rica that is famous for being a quintessential beach town. It's famous for its surfing conditions, and it has this surf school that's supposedly very famous called Witches Rock Surf Camp. I fly into the Liberia International Airport and then travel an hour to an hour and a half to Tamarindo. Tamarindo is such a fun town. So it has one main street that runs along the beach, and there are surf shops and restaurants and hotels and all kinds of boutiques, and it's just this one super busy, chaotic strip. You have people barefoot carrying their surfboards across the street. You have buses and motorcycles and ATVs, and every type of vehicle you can imagine is just all over the street. And it's just this beautiful, chaotic, wonderful, fun, positive energy. The nightlife is great. There are so many restaurants in Tamarindo. For a small place, it has like every kind of cuisine you can want. Now, I am not an exciting food connoisseur by any means. I honestly just stick to more so meat and potatoes. So I'm like a barbecue kind of girl. But if I can recommend a restaurant to go to, it is Walter's Place. The tables and chairs are right on the beach. You can hear the water lapping up to the shore. They have live music and entertainment. They also have a little fire pit that if you just want to go down and have a drink, you can sit out in the chairs around the fire pit. We have eaten there both times that we visited, and it is just romantic and relaxing and just a beautiful restaurant, and we love it there. If you stay in a hotel along that main strip, you should expect some noise because it's a lively place. There's live music, people are out all the time. It's a lovely place to walk around at night, but it's definitely a bit noisy. We stayed in an Airbnb off of that main road. There's a road that lies off of that road called Central Avenue. It's also a very busy, popular street. There's tons of Airbnbs, hotels, hostels, restaurants. So we would stay at the end of that road in an Airbnb called Green Village. I was scared to even share this place because I thought it would get booked up and I would never be able to get back there again. It is absolute paradise, beautiful, pristine. I would step through the gates and just feel completely at peace and just so happy because it was stunning there. But having said that, we are not staying back there this year because the host's name on Airbnb changed and the price went up $100 a night. So if the host had remained the same, then we probably would have considered staying again. But with a new host and a price hike, I'm too nervous to try to stay and have the conditions be worse than they were before. So we are trying a new Airbnb this time. I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is right now for safety reasons. I don't want weirdos on the internet to be able to track me, but I will share it on my Instagram once we actually get there. But it's in a similar area, very close to our last one, and I'm very excited to stay there. So at the end of Central Avenue, there is a grocery store. There's also a grocery store on a separate side street. So there are grocery stores, restaurants. Also at the end of Central Avenue, there are ATV rentals, taxi cabs. It's called Central Avenue for a reason because it kind of has everything that you need. And the beach is a few minutes from the end of that road as well. So Playa Tamarindo is the beach that you can get to by foot if you stay anywhere in that area. There are a ton of other beaches along the Pacific coast, but you will need a vehicle to get there. So if you do not plan to rent a vehicle, you would be safe to stay in Tamarindo and get everywhere that you want to go in that town, either by foot or with a taxi cab. If you want to travel anywhere else in the country and see other beaches or visit other towns, then you should either get a rental or you'd have to travel on a bus. I personally recommend getting a rental car because the driving is fun, a little wild, but it's very fun to drive around. So in terms of activities, we did take a surf lesson, which you can get any day of the week in Tamarindo. You can either go to the Witches Rock surf camp or you can just find an instructor. So I was actually approached when I was swimming by an instructor. He came over, asked if we wanted to do surf lessons, and we just spontaneously did one day. So you can easily find someone to give you a surf lesson any day of the week. Buying groceries in Costa Rica is pretty easy, although to get to a larger grocery store, you will need a vehicle or a taxi. In Tamarindo, the grocery stores are small but well stocked, so you would not need to travel by vehicle to a grocery store. You could find what you need, grocery and liquor stores in the town, but there are larger, like superstore size grocery stores just not even 10 minutes outside of the town. So we also stayed outside Tamarindo, about 20 minutes from that central town area, in a place called the Mikado Natural Lodge. I did not realize when I booked this place just how remote it was going to be. We were driving up this side of this mountain through this extremely rural little area, and then you came upon this beautiful place, the Mikado Natural Lodge. It was beautiful. You had your own private little cabin with a balcony right on the edge of this mountain. So it was really, really beautiful. The place was immaculate. The host was such a lovely woman. If you're looking for somewhere that's completely relaxing, that you can have a lot of solo time and just be like tranquil, at peace with nature, then that would be a good option. But for us, it was a little bit too far out in the middle of nowhere. That it was good, but it just felt a little bit too remote. But near that hotel, we ended up going to Playa Avellanas, which was this beautiful beach, way less busy than the beaches in Tamarindo. There's a restaurant right on the beach called Lola's, and it was just beautiful. Like, all the seating is outside on the sand, there's string lights, and it's just this laid back, wonderful vibe. And there were families and couples, and you could order these fun cocktails. So that was a really cool place to go. And we are going to go back to that beach this trip for a day. We'll just drive there. We won't stay in that same hotel, but we're going to drive there, back to the beach, and spend a day there. So there are lots of other little beaches: Playa Conchal, Playa Brasilito, Playa Flamingo. You can honestly explore for days just beach hopping if that's something you're interested in. As long as you have a rental car, you can visit like a different beach every day of your trip. So most of the beaches that we did visit were in the province of Guanacaste, which is the same province that the Liberia airport and Tamarindo are in. So the whole coast of Guanacaste essentially is just full of beaches. We also traveled to the province of Punta Arenas. We traveled about 3 hours from Tamarindo to get to this beach. I was trying to go to a beach called Playa Quesera, which looks like this absolutely beautiful paradise on Google. But when we arrived to the place that my GPS took us, it was a national wildlife park and a beach called Playa Curu. So we paid to get into this park, and then realized that the beach I wanted to go to was actually like a 2-hour difficult hike to get to this other beach. And it was through this jungle that did not have very developed walking paths. And we arrived there around lunchtime. So we would have essentially hiked into this beach and then had to almost turn right around to get back in time before dark. So that was a bit of a fail. So we didn't get to explore really anywhere else in that area. We just stayed at Playa Curu, which is not a beach that I would recommend. To be honest, it was smelly. Like, there are these campsites right on the water, and I think their septic system must be all like some sort of compostable system, because It was a pretty smelly place. Also, a monkey tried to rob us on the beach when we were swimming. It was unzipping our bag. So overall, not my favorite. And I unfortunately wouldn't recommend that beach in particular. Costa Rica has a live volcano called the Arenal volcano. So it's about a 4-hour drive from Tamarindo to that volcano. And that drive, it is an adventure. It is an experience, and we had a lot of fun. But if you are a nervous driver, then it may not be the most fun experience for you. We stayed 2 nights at a hotel called La Mansion Inn, Arenal. The views from this hotel are absolutely unbeatable. The view from our deck overlooking that lake is one of the most spectacular views I'll probably ever see in my entire life. Absolutely stunning. The hotel itself, it was not my favorite. I think that I got a little bit catfished by the photos online. It boasts this beautiful infinity pool overlooking this gorgeous lake, which there is an infinity pool. It does overlook the lake, but there's a big tree right behind the pool that blocks that view. So it actually blocks the infinity effect of the pool. Also, it wasn't cleaned regularly. Like, we actually had to pick up that pool sweeper thing and clean out the little hot tub pool that's beside the main pool. Like, we were cleaning it out ourselves. The water was only lukewarm. So I'm not recommending against staying there. Just know that the photos that you see online are a little bit of a catfish. But we did eat at a little restaurant just beside our hotel called the Toucan Lane. It does have a hotel. We didn't stay in that hotel, so I can't speak to the hotel part of it, but the restaurant itself is so fun. And it rained when we were there, and all the toucans and birds were out, and it was pouring, and it was just this beautiful place to sit out on their deck. And we had lunch there, and we also ended up going back to this restaurant one night, and we didn't realize that we arrived just as the restaurant was closing, but they actually stayed open for us. We were the only people in the restaurant. They turned on their little hanging lights. They let me plug my phone into their speaker system. So we played music, they cooked us a pizza, and it was one of the most romantic nights of my whole life. So I will be forever grateful to the Toucan Lane restaurant because they made us the most delicious pizza and just made this wonderful experience for us. So I recommend stopping in at that place. So where we stayed was a little bit outside the nearest town called La Fortuna. There doesn't seem to be a whole bunch to do within that town. I didn't sense the same vibe as Tamarindo. It didn't really seem to have a nightlife or like a main strip. It was more of like a town where you'd get your groceries, you can stop and have food, but like everything's driving distance. It doesn't really seem like it's a place that you can walk with a main strip. So we ate a little barbecue place there. We visited the Arenal Volcano National Park, which surrounds the volcano. You get some really cool views. We had a really weird experience there, and it was very eerie. I made a TikTok about it, so I'm just going to direct you to the TikTok rather than explain it here again. The park itself was beautiful, but it was just a very eerie, strange experience. But definitely you are going to want to see that volcano. It's just amazing. If you haven't seen a live volcano, which I had never seen before, it's amazing to see a volcano in person. If you don't want to pay to go into the national park, you can travel to La Fortuna, and when you're driving back, like towards Liberia, you can stop on the road and see the volcano so clearly. So you don't necessarily have to pay and go into the park if you don't want to. In La Fortuna, we went to the Baldy Hot Springs Resort, which is this resort full of hot tubs, essentially, just a whole bunch of different hot tubs at all different temperatures that are heated by the volcano. I love me a hot tub, so I was in my element in this place. In that area, there are other things that you can see, like you can go on guided tours to go see waterfalls, and you can go on hanging bridges in what they call cloud forests. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I have linked below a little gift for you. I have made a map on Google Maps, and I have pinned all of the restaurants we've eaten at, all the places we've stayed, and activities that we've done to help you better plan your trip, because I know I have thrown a ton of information and places at you right now. So that map should hopefully help you see everything in one place and then plan your vacation a little bit more easily. I also have another video that I filmed when I returned from Costa Rica the first time in 2020 with general tips about the country. I talk more in depth there about the different beaches, about things like animals and insects, about the cost of rental cars. So I have sort of general tips about traveling in the country. So you should check that one out as well if you are planning to visit. If you are going to Costa Rica for 1 week, then I would recommend staying in Tamarindo and doing day trips to whatever areas you want. If you are really interested in seeing the volcano and seeing a little bit more of the countryside and visiting the other attractions surrounding the volcano, like the cloud forest, like the hot springs, then you may want to spend 2 nights in the La Fortuna area. So I hope one day to visit the eastern side of the country, which we have not tapped into at all. It's a completely different ocean on that side. It's the Caribbean Sea. There's just so much amazing habitat and ecology and so much focus on natural preservation in the country that it is just a really, really cool place to visit. And I know that the other side of the country would be a wonderful place to explore as well. We are just so sold on our little beach town that we have yet to want to stray from it. So I think if you love a beach vacation and you like a mixture of relaxation and adventure and you like a laid back feeling, then I think you will really enjoy Costa Rica, and I think you'll really enjoy Tamarindo. I hope that I have given you some inspiration and you found this video helpful. So if you did like it, feel free to leave me a like below, and I will see you again very soon. Okay, pura vida, bye-bye.